former Director Africa at Binance and CEO of Bundle. Emmanuel Babalola, Babs as he's fondly called, is a pioneer in Nigeria's blockchain landscape, playing a major role in the growth of crypto adoption on the continent. As the Africa Director of Binance, he had led several projects within the ecosystem, driving the growth of Binance on the continent from day one. He was recently featured on Forbes Africa by Penresa on a report for the Undiscovered series. Currently, he serves as CEO of Bundle, a social finance app dedicated to making crypto accessible to everyone.
A round of applause for Mr. Emmanuel Babalola as he comes up to teach us this afternoon. I want to believe you can do better than that. Please, let's clap for him. Let's clap for him.
Hello, hello, hello. I think Enugu is really underrated. There's so much that this town has to offer, and I really celebrate every single one of you for taking out time since 9 a.m., sitting down here and hearing all the, in quotes, lessons and boring things that all these speakers have talked about. Put your hands together for yourselves. Put your hands together for yourselves. And while I was coming up, I was talking to Tony, the convener, about one thing that we need to confirm. So I'll just do the exercise very quickly. To be honest, how many of you here actually do not know about crypto? That this is the first crypto class, education event, or whatever that you have attended? Just wave your hands, let me see. Okay. How many of us have been in crypto? We know about crypto, and we've been learning it for up to 2 months. 2 months is the max you've paid attention to crypto. Just wave again. Okay. So it seems that Enugu is full of crypto enthusiasts, actually. Put your hands together for yourselves, everyone. And this just reminds us of like back then when, I think sometime around 2016, if you did an event for crypto, you'd likely use a small restaurant where like just 5 people will be talking about this stuff. But today we are doing events and we have been pulling this kind of crowd out since 2019. So it's really a fantastic job that the entire team has been working on. So just to highlight a little bit about crypto for the few persons here who may not understand what it fully is about. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain, first of all, are not scams. They are not, it's also not a get-rich-quick scheme. So basically, you can get rich quick in crypto, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. So if anybody is telling you that, oh, buy this coin and to pump to 1000x, it's probably not going to happen. And the reason why is because there is no guarantee, you understand? So just to highlight a bit more about the purpose of Bitcoin. Let's think about 2011, before dollar started moving really crazy. Before dollar started moving mad in Nigeria. So I think minimum wage then was how much? 18,000 Naira. And the price of $1 was 180, if I remember correctly. This is back in 2011. So it means that if you convert minimum wage to dollar, you have how many dollar? $100. So let's fast forward to 2022. Minimum wage this year is 30,000 Naira. Dollar, depending on how you convert it, would end up being around 50 to 60 dollar for 30,000 Naira. So it means that if you held Naira from 2011 to today, you would have way less than half of what you actually saved. And if you had dollar in this case, from 2011, you would have, instead of having 18,000 Naira when you convert it, today you would have how much? 60K. That's how many percent? So now this is not even to talk about what Bitcoin is about. Now the reason why that happens, why Naira loses value over time, same as every other fiat currency in Africa especially, where we have a lot of dollar demand, is because of something called inflation, right? And that inflation is what causes currencies to lose value. So what I really want to highlight here is for our parents, even my own parents back then, they always saved in Naira. And imagine you are saving your entire livelihood, your pension, your income, everything you're saving is in fiat. What happens? What happens is that your savings is losing value over time. And then income crypto is a better store of value. Why? Because basically we are talking about a technology that is not inflationary in nature. Why? Because it's inflation that causes currencies to depreciate. Now we are talking about a currency that does not depreciate in the way your fiat does. So that's just general context. And hopefully, I hope you can learn more about this thing I just talked about, after today's event. Because I have just the next 5 minutes to talk about something called social finance. And social finance is an aspect of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. If you've noticed, we've talked about a bunch of different aspects of crypto. We've talked about cross-border payments. We've talked about NFTs. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. And this aspect of social finance is actually one part of the entire possibilities that blockchain has brought to us. And as part of this program, Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies Awareness Tour, the goal is to touch on as many parts of this entire ecosystem as possible. And here, the first thing here we'll talk about is the evolution of payments. Now, this is how money has evolved over time. So we've had to move from trade by barter to the coinage era to paper money, checks, cards, and cryptocurrencies. Now, for every state of money, for every time money has had to change, there has been a profound impact on how people interact with each other. Now, just to be clear, the slide I just showed you earlier are not money. They are forms of money. They are types of money. Why? Because money in itself is a concept that changes over time. And today, people use cryptocurrencies as a form of money. Let's move on. And just to give you context as to what this is about, actually, even the internet in itself didn't always exist the way it is today. And if you go on, you would see how the internet has evolved. We've had a time where internet moved from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3. Now, before Web 1, there was Web 0, basically without the internet. So without the internet, there were a lot of people that swore on national TV. If you check YouTube, you'll see videos there, that they would never get on the internet, that the internet is so bad and is a scam, and people would lose money if they talk to people on the web, and they will not have time for their family. So but today we all use and live on the internet. So Web 1 was the first version of the internet. And in the first version of the internet, it was only read. You couldn't add content to it. So basically, you land on a web page, you couldn't sign up, you could only read classified news pages, and just basically the digitization of newspapers started in that era. And then email service also started in that era. Before the internet, if you had to send a letter, if you had to send a message to someone in China, you'd need to write a letter, and it would take days for that to happen. And without communication, commerce was really, really slow. People weren't making as much business as they were making today. People weren't making as much money as they were making today. Why? Because they couldn't communicate with each other. So the internet bridged the gap. So the internet made the world a global village. Now, in that global village, Web 2 came. Web 2 was now that aspect of the internet where social interaction can happen. So basically, people can interact. People can, like a picture. You can post photos. There's multimedia. There are big tech companies that allow people have social activities on the web. So now it wasn't just about information. Now there is communication. Okay? So Web 3 is the next era where we are today. So in Web 3, we now begin to talk about things like blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, and the likes. Now, blockchain technology, I like to tell people that if the internet made the world a global village, blockchain technology will power the economy of that village. Basically, the internet of money. So before now, it was difficult for you to do actual transactions on the web. So what that means is you basically have an e-commerce site online. People are buying stuff from your website. You have, you're meeting people online. People are interacting. So a lot of activities happen on the web. But you cannot do direct transactions over the web because of there is no accounting system on the internet itself. So the internet, since the internet didn't have an accounting system, you had to need third parties that would process those transactions. That's why no matter the number of times we chat on WhatsApp, if we want to conclude a payment, I have to go and open my bank and do that transaction. If we want to conclude the payment, I have to use my ATM card to conclude that transaction. Because how would the website that I'm paying this, hair know that I actually have the money? How would they even receive the money? Who will process that entire transaction? So you needed third parties to facilitate trade. But today, that is no longer the case. Why? Because there is something called blockchain that serves as the accounting system of the internet. A way that records are stored in a very secure manner that allows you process payments directly on the web. It means that right now on WhatsApp, in one country today, somebody can send somebody money on WhatsApp. Somebody can send somebody money on the internet. I can send you Bitcoin. It doesn't the same way if I send you an email, it arrives the same seconds, whether you're in Nigeria or in China. It's the same way if I send you Bitcoin today, it will arrive in the same instant of time. Why? Because there is no more distance on the web. So this now takes us to these social platforms, this Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All these social media sites today are evolving into social finance apps. If you go on, you would see a lot of case studies that I put up here. Go next slide. Next slide. So you see a lot of case studies like guys like Facebook. Facebook is doing something around the metaverse, talking about how, it is possible for human interactions beyond being just via text and pictures and videos can now be in form of experiences, where the same experience you would have in the physical world, you can also have that on the internet. Now, the metaverse is not cryptocurrency. The metaverse is its own technology, just like AI. However, for all these technologies to work, blockchain is relevant. Why? Because in that metaverse, the only way to secure a transaction, if somebody wanted to buy something from a carousel in the metaverse, would be via cryptocurrencies. Because that is the only money that the internet itself understands. I think this is just the simplest way I can explain that. So let's go back to, I think there's one other, go back, Instagram. So Instagram is testing out NFTs today, where you can, upload your profile picture as an NFT and show off those NFTs you have. Next slide. Guys like Twitter. On Twitter today, content creators can earn an income from their work. So it means that if you follow me on Twitter, for instance, you can send me a tip if you like what I say. You can send me cryptocurrency, but without Bitcoin or any other coin, and you can also send cash on Twitter today. If you remember, sometime, I think 2-3 years ago, Facebook wanted to pilot something called Libra. But because of it is so difficult for a centralized party to have so much power, that project somehow didn't work out. And now they are using a lot of other means like WhatsApp Pay and a bunch of other technologies to launch those same capabilities. So Reddit also has, NFTs as well. Now, the whole idea is these big tech companies that you know and you use every single day are adopting blockchain technology. That's the summary of what I'm trying to say here. So it means that it is no longer that thing that somebody somewhere will say is black, or will say is only for bad guys. It actually has profound use cases. I tell people that Africa has the most profound use cases for crypto. If crypto would work anywhere in the world, it would work in Africa. And At YouTube, they are doing a bunch of stuff around rewarding creators through crypto, in case in point, NFTs. And at Bundle, one of the key things we are doing, I don't know if many of you know that Bundle is a Binance company. And one of the key things we want to do with Bundle in Africa is we want to drive social finance with this app. Today, Bundle has over 1 million downloads and nearly 1 million users using this app, and it's still day one. Now, overall, these are the things that SocialFi helps do, and this is where I'm going to. So SocialFi is about data ownership, meaning that in the next generation of social media apps that will come out, including maybe the current ones that are in existence, if they would change. I think Twitter was acquired by Elon Musk recently to try and decentralize it and bring those, crypto and blockchain principles into that app. So things like data ownership, reward distribution, privacy and security, and power for creators will begin to come into play. Where in the current Web 2 social media, investors earn the most from the company, from like all the money that the companies make. Then the company itself, the builders, the founders, are the next category of people that earn money. Then afterwards, the creators, the people that put content on those social media sites, they are the next category of earners. And the last categories of earners are the users, the everyday you and me that, commit our time, our attention, our mental energy into those apps. Now, guess what? With SocialFi and SocialFi focused platforms, what would happen is that the same rewards that you earn, that Facebook makes, let's say Facebook is making $180 billion a year. And that's, imagine all that revenue, instead of going to be shared across, Facebook, their investors and the rest, imagine all that value is shared within its users. We've seen applications in GameFi already. How many of you have heard about GameFi? Just wave your hands. Wave your hands. Okay, GameFi. It's a very important trend that you should follow as Africans. Not a lot of people have money to trade. If I go to a crypto exchange, it's expected that I know what I want to buy and I know what I want to sell. So I'm going to buy a coin and sell a coin. It's expected I have capital, right? Now, there are things like GameFi and SocialFi where you don't even need capital. So on GameFi apps, you basically play games and you earn tokens. And those tokens, if listed on an exchange, you can go and sell those tokens into Naira, right? And this is, you have people making more than like $200 a day. It's $200 a month from, playing games on their phones. So one of the things that blockchain is also changing is all those games you play currently, Candy Crush and the rest. Imagine that all those points you earn are actually convertible to cash. That's what GameFi is about. There was a platform 3 years ago called Steemit. Now, Steemit was the first proper execution, even though it failed, of what social rewarding would be like. Where imagine all the likes you get on Facebook, all the likes you get on Twitter, retweets, the content you generate. Imagine it was actually cash. Now, if Davido likes your picture, you'll be feeling fly, right? But it doesn't actually translate into rewards. Now, imagine an economy on a social media site where the token holders, depending on how many tokens you are holding, determine the quality and the power of your like. So if somebody like Ugo, who has 1 billion tokens, likes your picture, you would know that somebody has liked your picture. And imagine people back then were earning as much as, $1,000 on a post, right? And this was before the bull markets of this, era happened. So key thing here about SocialFi is it is profoundly important that you pay attention to it. And then at Bundle, we are doing a lot of stuff around, bringing these realities into Africa. And hopefully later on down the line, we'll get to hear more and more about what we are doing at Bundle. Thank you very much.